Hi everyone, it is February 25th, 2013. This is U.S. History, and this is the video tutorial for Goals of the Grand Alliance. Just so everybody knows, we are currently on Unit 6, Section 1, and it's Assignment 3. Last week we started Unit 6 with the Unit 6 vocabulary and Unit 6 notes, so those have been due, so you can still turn those in. Get those in as soon as possible on those because everybody should know already how to do the notes and the summary. The main thing that people are making mistakes on still, though, are doing the summary in the notes. So writing out your notes whenever you're watching the video or the notes, and then at the end of the notes, writing a paragraph summary that summarizes from the video or PowerPoint presentation. It should be a full summary. If you need a tutorial on how to do a summary, go into the web and look up how to write a summary on Google, and then just cover the main points of writing the summary. But it should be a paragraph explaining to me what you learned from the presentation or the video, and it shouldn't be just one or two sentences. It should be a lot more than that because hopefully you learned a lot more than you could write in 1 to 2 sentences in your summary. All right, Goals of the Grand Alliance. So let's go to Unit 6, and it is Session 1. I'm not showing Session 2 and 3 yet, so we'll stick to Unit 6, Session 1. And the checklist is up with the due dates. So all the due dates are there for this session. If we go into the Grand Alliance, you'll see everything there that you need to know. You do need to read, and the research is going to entail 2 things for each one of these documents. Basically what we're learning about here is the Atlantic Charter and the Declaration of the United Nations. Each one is basically covering the goals of the Allies during World War II. They had these goals of what the new world was going to look like after World War II, and they didn't want to see any more of the things that caused World War II to happen again, like tyranny, dictatorships. They didn't want to see any more imperialism that was taking over countries in Africa and South America and places like that, where these European countries are running. They have these colonies all around the world that's basically helping to lead to World War II, lead to World War I and World War II. So you are reading through the Atlantic Charter and the Declaration of the United Nations. Both are available. But before you do that, I want you to do reading on what the Atlantic Charter was, and here's a link to that. So read about what the Atlantic Charter was, where Churchill and Roosevelt met. It was on a ship. What were they hoping to accomplish when they wrote the Atlantic Charter? Get some background on the Atlantic Charter. Okay? And then read about the Declaration of the United Nations. There's a link to that right there. Read about what the United Nations was. What the leaders here of the Allied powers were trying to accomplish with this. Okay? And then get into, and the next part is, after the research, is you're responding. And for the response, what you're turning in is a worksheet. The worksheet is going to have different things. They're going to have different topics. Different topics that are covered in the Atlantic Charter and the Declaration of the United Nations. If there's something that, if after you research and you can't find a certain one of these topics in the 2 documents, then put NA, not available. Okay, but most of these should. I think making peace with the Axis powers, the Declaration of the United Nations, there's nothing available in that. But the Atlantic Charter definitely mentions something about making peace with the Axis powers. So if you go into, let's say that the topic is fighting the war. Let's look at the Atlantic Charter first. The Atlantic Charter, what does it say about fighting the war? And the war being World War II. First, there's countries seek no granted territory others. Let me see. I think it's under 7th. After the final destruction of the Nazi army, they hope to see established peace. Okay, so basically they want the destruction of the Nazi tyranny. So put destruction of Nazi tyranny under Atlantic Charter. Okay, in the Declaration of the United Nations, if you look at that for fighting the war, Declaration of the United Nations. okay, it says the answer is going to be in 1. Each government pledges itself to employ its full resources. That means they full resources being ammunition, bombs, planes, tanks, soldiers, military or economic resources could also be money. They're putting money into the cause of the war against those members of the Tripartite Act. That's the Axis powers: Germany, Japan, and Italy. And its adherence, which okay, so this is what the government is in its war. So this is what it says about fighting the war. Is in number 1 right here. So the members of the United Nations are declaring that they're going to do this. They're against basically the Tripartite Pact countries, and they're pledging their full resources basically. So you put that right here under Declaration of the United Nations. Okay, then go on and do these other things. So making peace, the topic making peace with the Axis powers. I believe this one doesn't, in the United Nations, that there's nothing in there about, actually, it doesn't say anything about, you can put down that it doesn't say anything about making peace with the Axis powers, but it does say about fighting the war with the Axis powers, so you can put that. But you can put NA when it says about fighting the war, or making peace with the Axis powers. It doesn't say anything about making peace, it says about fighting the war. Okay, so you put NA right here for there. Atlantic Charter, you could put, what does it say about making peace with the Axis powers? And it says, let me see here. No aggrandized territory to others, to bring about full cooperation. Nations which or maybe threaten aggression. Okay, such peace should enable all. Okay, so basically you can put number 7, the 7th one here, under the Atlantic Charter. And they're saying that if there is a peace made, such a peace should enable all men. So if there is a peace made with the Axis powers or anybody else in the future, still today, that peace has to enable all men to traverse the high seas and oceans without hindrance. So they're basically saying that if a peace is made, that you can't have a country like Germany that is holding ships or firing upon ships with their submarines and other ships on the oceans or the seas. Hindrance, which means without any problems. So you could put that down for peace with the Axis powers. Or okay, 6, after the final destruction of the Nazi tyranny, they hope to see established peace, which will afford all nations the means of dwelling in safety. Okay, so that would be, actually it would be 6 and 7 for making peace with the Axis powers. Okay, so you should all get the idea here of filling out that worksheet and then turn in the worksheet when you're done. Okay, that's all I have for right now. I'll have another video up by Wednesday. Bye.